Are you currently in a relationship that you are starting to feel like, okay, this might be abuse, but you're not sure? You're hearing these terms, toxic relationships, emotional abuse, but you're not sure. Or maybe you've already gotten out of the relationship and you want to make sure that you can identify what emotional abuse looks like for your future relationships. Well, you're in the right place. In this video, I am going to teach you some emotional abuse red flags to look out for. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Nailah Abdullah. I'm a mental health therapist turned toxic relationship coach. And after overcoming my own personal experiences with toxic and narcissistic relationships, I now work with women like you, helping you to heal, to rebuild yourself after the impact of these types of relationships. And most importantly, I teach you how to navigate the aftermath and make sure that you never end up in a situation like this again. So if that sounds like something that you need, stick around and let's get into this topic. One of the things about emotional abuse is I find it very subtle, right? And even for myself as a mental health professional, I did a lot of reading after I came out of my narcissistic relationship because I realized I subjected myself to it because I didn't realize that this was a very subtle and gradual version of abuse. So one of the things I want you to be aware of, one of the red flags of emotional abuse, is that they can become very mean and hurtful when they don't get their way. Okay, that's one of the emotional abuse red flags, and that might sound very simple, but being mean and hurtful time and time again, that wears you down. That breaks down your self-esteem, right? That becomes painful over time. Let me give an example. In my own personal experience, I remember we had, and I don't even remember at this point because it was so long ago, but I remember me and the partner, we had an argument about something. Don't remember what it was. But regardless of that argument, my fridge had broken. I was living on my own at the time. We weren't living together yet. And my fridge went out and I needed a new fridge. And it was my first time. I was a very young adult. It was my first time, signing up for a Sears credit card and getting something on a payment plan. And he was going to come with me and his father, I believe it was, or both his parents, either way. And because we had this small argument, he said he wasn't going to come, but then he did come. But then in the store, he was giving a lot of, attitude and basically distracting me from my ability to, work this whole payment plan out and this credit card. And like I said, I was new to this because I was quite young at the time, and picking the right fridge and getting the right size. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you're supposed to be on my side, right? You're my partner. Like, you're supposed to be here to help me. Regardless of an argument, you're supposed to be here to help me. Like, we can work out the issue later on. But right now, I'm here getting this fridge and I need your help, right? I'm new to this. And what it showed me after I was out of the relationship and started, analyzing all these different experiences, is I realized they are like toddlers. Right? They cannot handle their emotions. They have the emotional development and intelligence of a toddler. So when they are upset, they throw a tantrum, an adult version of a tantrum. They also like to sabotage you. They don't want to see you doing well. Sometimes they do when it benefits them, but on the other hand, they will try to sabotage you. So that is one of the red flags. And again, with emotional abuse, it can be very subtle. But when you see them becoming mean and hurtful, and because they don't get their way, something that can be easily resolved. Listen, in a relationship, you will have disagreements. You will have, conflicts. But it should not get to the point where I'm trying to hurt you because of that. I remember in that same relationship that I was in, a couple times in the beginning, if we had an argument, and he'd be like, "Oh, but you're still cooking?" And I'm like, "Yeah. We're a couple, right? This is my role, and I could tell he was like confused, impressed, but at the same time like, oh good, I can exploit this, right? Because they pick people with high morals, high values, people who are very fair, who are very, forgiving, right? And it doesn't mean that you need to change these parts of you. These are good qualities. But healing and rebuilding yourself means that you are becoming wise and you are able to use your discernment and who to give these qualities to. And when it comes to these type of people, they don't deserve these qualities. That's why you have to remove yourself. Another emotional abuse red flag that I want to teach you about is when they switch from praising you to criticizing you. So in the beginning of the relationship, they see qualities, as we just spoke about. They see qualities in you, characteristics about you that is very admirable, that they like to show off to the world. Look how great this woman is. She's a good person. She's done this. She's doing that, right? They like to praise you to other people, praise you to your face. But eventually that switches to criticizing you. And even if they don't criticize you in public because they want to keep a nice image about who you are and the quality of the couple, right? That power couple, right? They will start to criticize you behind closed doors. And sometimes, again, most times with emotional abuse, it's very subtle. So you need to start looking at if someone keeps repeating something over and over, even if it's something small or light or it's in a joking form. Some of them use, laughter and, jokes to try to pass insults over. You need to be comfortable within yourself to say, you know what, I don't like when you say that. Or I notice you're saying this a lot. What is this about? Okay? And they may try to make it seem like you're being hypersensitive or whatever it is, but if someone loves you, they're willing to have that conversation with you to put you at ease and let you know, like, look, it's just a joke, but I won't say it as much, or, this is what I'm thinking, or whatever it is, okay? But they will start to turn the praise into criticizing. I remember my own personal experience, same thing. I was praised for all these great qualities, da, 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 da. By the end of the relationship, this is what clicked for me. That made me realize, it started off where I said I was going to separate from the marriage for a while, to me saying, I'm not even going back at this point. I started to realize that the things that I was being criticized for was so ridiculous. For example, I started to go to the gym, right? I'm not a fan of working out. I'm slim somewhat, but that's pure genetics. Anyway, I started going to the gym because at least I said I want to be in good shape, I want to be healthy, and I want to be toned. One of the things that I was doing, I was drinking a lot of protein shakes because unlike many people gain weight easily, I lose weight easily. So I always said I wanted these protein shakes with the extra calories, help me to build muscle, help me to keep the calories on because I lose weight too easily. And I remember I was starting to get criticized for drinking protein shakes sometimes but not going to the gym, right? I might skip the gym. And it wasn't until after I separated, in the beginning unplanned, right? I just stopped, didn't come home anymore because I just felt distraught. I remember the partner's father calling me and bringing this topic up to me. And after I got off the phone, I said, this is a grown man, like over 60. And you're telling me that the way to mend this relationship is for me not to drink protein shakes? You just as crazy as the sun. Right? So, that's where, but again, when you're in the relationship, you don't see how ridiculous it is. That's why it's so important to surround yourself around other people that you can reach out to for support, that you can kind of process these experiences with, because when you're in it, you're in what they call the fog. You're not thinking clearly, you're not seeing things clearly, but when you do start to see things clearly, you realize how you are just tolerating some craziness, some foolishness, right? You're being criticized for every little thing. And that is all to break you. That is all to keep you on edge and to keep them being able to control you in some form or in some capacity. Another red flag for emotional abuse is where they ignore your effort to resolve conflict. Okay, so if you get into an argument, there's some type of disagreement or conflict, and you try to say, hey, let's talk about this, let's figure this out, you want peace, and they often push you away in some way. Okay, that is a form of emotional abuse because they don't want you at rest. They don't want you at peace. They want you stressed out. That is a way to keep control, right? It's, I don't know if it's mice or if it's crabs, but I heard this analogy where I think it's crabs. Either way, where you put them in a basket and you keep shaking the basket because the minute you let it settle and you put the basket down, now the crabs have a chance to climb out, right? They can claw their way out of the basket or climb on top of each other and come out of the basket, right? That's when things are settled, when things are calm, when things are at peace. But if you keep shaking that basket, they will never get a chance to really get a good grasp, right, of the wicker basket to climb their way out. That is the same thing with people who are abusive, destructive, narcissistic, toxic, whatever you call it. They want to keep you on edge. There was a woman that I work with who, when she was going through her breakup, or she was still actually in the relationship at the time, before she broke up, she would say, Nailah, I'm always trying to talk to him about things, and he would always say, I'm not ready to talk, I'm not ready to talk. But he would never come back to it, right? That's an example where he was just trying to push her away, like, I don't want to resolve this conflict. I want to keep the conflict going. That is an emotional abuse red flag. Another emotional abuse red flag is where they try to make you jealous, and this can be in different ways. I've seen experiences with it with other women, right? So they may not technically cheat and sleep with another woman, but they may like to compliment other women excessively in front of you, say things about other women around you, often tell you how other women are trying to hit on them. Whatever it is, they will say things to you about other women to make, again, keep you on edge, like, oh, other women are after him, I need to be worried. And this is not about being insecure, because you can be the most secure woman, but if your partner is giving inappropriate attention to another woman, whether it be at work, right? They're spending a bit too much time with them on the phone, too much time, outside of work, doing things too much. You know when things are inappropriate, right? At least you should. If you don't, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. And if your partner comes to you and talks to you about this and tells you, hey, I think this is too much, like, where's this going? Like, what, this is inappropriate. Your partner, a healthy partner, will listen to you and make the necessary adjustments, okay? But again, they will not, because they want to keep you jealous. They want to keep you on edge. You will also see them trying to make you jealous with the children. They will do things to try to make the children favor them over you. They will be excessive with buying things for them and giving them their way, or trying to actually bring you down to the level of the child in the household, right? Change the family dynamics and put the children up here to make them kind of talk down to you. Mommy's opinion is not as important as daddy's opinion, or daddy decides what happens, I don't need to ask mommy, right? And again, this is all gradual, but when you notice it, you need to address it. And if it's not fixed, if it's not changed, that is your sign to remove yourself. Healing is not just about feeling better. Healing from emotional abuse, from toxic, narcissistic relationships, is also about being educated on what emotional abuse looks like, what the red flags look like. So if that's something you want to learn more about as you start to heal out of this toxic and narcissistic relationship, you want to learn, how do I need to change to make sure I don't end up in this situation again? How do I rebuild myself? How do I find myself again? These are all things that I teach in my program, the Relationship Detox. I provide coaching, I provide classes. Go ahead and click the link in the description box below if this is something that you want to work on, that you don't want this to be your story in 2025. I know 2024 just started, but it is flying by. So if you want to have a different conversation this time next year, go ahead and start working on yourself. It is possible. It's not always easy, but it is possible. And I always consider these things, this is avoidable suffering. We have the choice whether we want these things to stretch out for 10, 20 years, 30 years. Some people I've heard in their 60s and 70s still dealing with it, or just getting out of toxic and narcissistic relationship. That doesn't have to be your story. Okay, and again, it's not just about getting out and healing as in I'm not hurt anymore, right? It's about educating ourselves on the dynamics of these people, because that's how we got stuck here to begin with. We didn't understand what emotional abuse can look like, but I have a fix for that, okay? So click the link in the description box below if that's what you want to do for yourself, the Relationship Detox. If you have any questions, my email link is also below. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and make sure that you share this with someone that you think can benefit from this information. And I'll see you in the next episode.